I actually, I have to be honest, and I'm. It's unbelievable that I say this, but I think Enric Mas can win this Vuelta.
Hi, I'm Spencer Martin, along with Johan Bruyneel, and this is Outcomes.
Outcomes is not an online gambling operator or a gambling site of any kind. We are simply here to provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. It is a responsibility of all visitors to this podcast to check current local laws in their area or country before doing any gambling online. It is your responsibility to know and follow your local laws in place. Although we try best to provide accurate information on outcomes, we cannot be held responsible for any inaccurate or incorrect information which is mentioned on this show. If you place any bets based on the conversations on outcomes, you confirm or understand that it is possible to lose some or all monies used when betting on sports or doing any gambling. You cannot hold outcomes responsible for any such losses. Our podcast is here to provide entertainment and should be viewed as that and nothing more. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Outcomes. We are predicting stage 11 of the Vuelta a España. We'll get Johan's take on who's going to win and how it's going to play out in 1 minute. But first, Johan, I wanted to ask you about today, stage 10. Wout van Aert wins pretty impressively. We didn't pick him. I felt really silly. I think he was about plus 1,000 yesterday to win. That would have been a nice pick to have. Like what happened there? How did we overlook that? I mean, it was a mountain stage. It was about 10,000 feet of climbing, 3,000 meters. He didn't even really seem bothered by it. I mean, it was tough. It was a tough fight to get in the breakaway, but that almost helped him. And then he had Marc Soler there. You'd think, well, Soler's a better climber, and then Soler doesn't even respond when Van Aert attacks, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, he was really strong, Spencer. I don't know why we didn't think about him. We're thinking maybe too much about sprints and then some easier stages with breakaways. But it looks like Van Aert, I mean, in this peloton, with this quality of the Vuelta, he makes me think about the Wout van Aert we were used to see in the Tour, who could do everything. It's probably not going to be in a mountain stage. We're going to see something else from him, although we don't know. But today, he looked so strong. I mean, he looked unbeatable, actually. 3 stages already now. I listened to an interview of one of his teammates, Robert Geesink. He's not done. He's not done with trying to go for stages. And it also seems to me like they, at Visma, they are focusing on Wout van Aert almost completely. You know, Sepp Kuss, the defending champion of the Giro, of the Vuelta, has shown a little bit of weaknesses. He's still up there, but, you know, he's not a rider that the team is reeling around, per se. As a matter of fact, Sepp Kuss helped Van Aert win a stage. So I think it looks to me like he's the focus of the team, and that every time that Wout wants to go for a stage, the whole team is going to be behind him, which could also be the case tomorrow, actually. You know, I mean, you typically see in the second part of a big tour, guys who have great legs, it's always the same guys. And we're going to see Wout van Aert more and more. I mean, today, I think he was, once that break went, he was unbeatable. The race for green, I mean, it's not over, but I kind of think it's over. For some reason, I mean, he's now also, I mean, I don't know if he's going to, he's on par for the KOM now, also the King of the Mountains jersey with Roglic. Anyway, that's not, he said that that's not a focus of him. He doesn't care about that at all. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what they could have done today, the guys from the breakaway or some guys in the peloton, to prevent Wout from winning the stage. He was that strong.
I mean, it was actually kind of clever. If you watch it closely, when they approached there was a sprint point right before the final climb. He attacks. Marc Soler's back at the team car. It's, I don't know, maybe tradecraft. This was pushing it, in my opinion. He takes a water bottle out of his cage, holds it out. His director grabs it, starts driving faster. So he's they
got fined, by the way, for this.
And Van Aert, I mean, very smart for Van Aert, attacks right then. Soler must think that he's just going for points because he doesn't respond at all. Quentin Pacher, who got second, Pache, he's the only one who recognizes what's going on, and he's like sprinting as hard as he can, out of the saddle. Van Aert's in the saddle, looks like he's just tapping over in easy gear, and like Pache has to fight with every muscle in his body to bridge up, and then that was the win. Like William Leclerc from Soudal's Quickstep.
Leclerc.
That's exactly how I said it. Van Aert waited until he hit the front to attack, also pretty clever because he's 22 kilos lighter than Van Aert.
Yeah.
So that was the guy that was tasked with kind of welding the gap back together. Clearly he couldn't do it. Pache caught a lot of like questions of like, why is he working with Van Aert? And I hope Mr. Lance Armstrong doesn't listen to this. Like, are we underestimating second place? Like, that's pretty good for a guy like that in a team.
Yeah, I heard his interview in French after the stage, and he said, there was nothing I could do. I was beaten by a guy who was much stronger. I did everything I could, and this, considering the circumstances, was the best possible result for me. So I'm proud of what I did, and I think he should. It was. If you look also, if you looked at the difference in size and power. There was that one moment where he tried to surprise Van Aert in the final. Van Aert, didn't even have to stand pedals. He just pushed 2 times a bit harder, and he was back in the wheel. So I don't think Pache could have done anything else. Even if he was sitting on the wheel, then Van Aert would probably get pissed off and drop him on that little rise 3 or 4K before the finish. So
there's no shame in recognizing seconds as good as you can do. And that's a lot of UCI points, 130 UCI points. Like there's guys probably making mid 6 figures on teams that make those amount of UCI points in a year.
Yeah.
So to get it on one day isn't the worst thing. The GC race, the one thing I'd say about that, also we should say, Wout van Aert will not win KOM. Do not go out and bet on that because we looked ahead. It is very difficult. But for one more day, Ben O'Connor not tested, doesn't lose any time. And it's a real estate game for O'Connor.
Yeah.
Like how many days can go by that I don't lose time is good for him. And it was another day where he didn't lose any time.
I think Spencer, I think the longer he's in the jersey, the more confidence he's going to get, the better he's going to get. It's going to become more and more difficult. There are still 3 or 4 stages that are extremely hard with extremely hard mountaintop finishes. But hey, Ben Connor is not just any rider, he's been up there. He won stages in the Grand Tours and in all 3 Grand Tours now, I think, because he won in the Tour, he won in the Giro, he won in the Vuelta. He seems to be in the form of his life. So today he didn't get tested. I don't expect tomorrow that he will be tested. There is this 3-kilometer climb at around 9%, in the final, but I don't think anything will happen for GC there. So it's starting to look better and better for him. If he keeps his cool and doesn't do anything crazy, there is a chance that Ben O'Connor might hang on until Madrid.
Well, that's a good segue. We should talk about stage 11.
Yeah.
166 kilometers, not quite as much climbing as today, but it's kind of a funny stage. It's almost 3 little circuits they do. They do 1 loop, a circuit, 2 times around a circuit, and then a final circuit with a tough climb, finish where they start. And how do you think this is going to play out? First, let me read off the odds, and then you can tell me how it's going to play out. This episode of Outcomes is sponsored by BetterHelp. Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. What's something you'd like to learn? Gardening, a new language, or maybe how to finally beat your best friend in bowling? Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder and overcome some of those barriers that are in the way, because your back-to-school era can come at any age. Therapy can be really helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist today. And most importantly, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. That's something that's very hard to do with traditional therapy. So the fact that BetterHelp is going to let you get who you need is incredibly important. So rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/themove today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/themove. All right, back to the episode. So Wout van Aert's the favorite, plus 550. So we've gotten pretty much we've gotten a haircut here, 50% haircut. If you want to make up for your mistake, you're going to have to pay for it. Jonathan Narvaez plus 650, Primoz Roglic plus 1,000, Brandon McNulty plus 1,600, Michael Woods plus 1,600, Harold Tejada plus 1,800, Isaac Del Toro plus 2,000, Jay Vine plus 2,200, Richard Carapaz plus 2,500, Enric Mas plus 2,500. It goes on and on. We'll call them out when we need to. But Johan, how do you think this is going to play out? Breakaway or GC? And who do you think is going to win?
I think breakaway for sure. It's an ideal stage for breakaway, especially the beginning of the stage. There's climbs, but they're not that difficult. And also, there's probably going to be a decent group away, and there's not going to be that much. I mean, of course, the team of the leader wants a breakaway to go. Decathlon, AG2R, they want a breakaway to go. Means that there's no bonus seconds on offer. So, and then, the other teams, mainly Red Bull Bora and Movistar, they won't want to burn any matches with potential whatever 10 second bonification and then you still have to win. So I think breakaway. From now on, we're going to see really strong riders. My favorite for tomorrow is Mike Woods from Israel Premier Tech. He knows how to go in breaks, and especially with that steep climb in the final, 3 kilometers, around 9%, this is ideal terrain for Mike Woods. It seems to me like he's in good shape. Didn't catch the break today, and I think on purpose he kind of dropped back in the final. Didn't want to spend any energy to hang on to that first group with all the favorites. He, instead of 5 minutes down, he finished 11 minutes down. So that shows to me that he saved himself and was thinking already about tomorrow. So Mike Woods, what is he? He is plus 1,600, I guess, on Unibet. Yeah, plus 1,600. I don't know if you know if you see anything better otherwise.
He's plus 1,800 on FanDuel, so it's slightly better.
Okay.
As you say, yeah, he did try to get in the move. I'd say flawed strategy. That team's not had a good run at getting into breakaways. Israel Premier Tech, he waited until there was like a 35-second gap and tried to bridge it on the first climb, but you're not going to bridge a 35-second gap to Wout van Aert on a climb of that gradient. It's actually good, though, that he didn't get in the move, because tomorrow is better for him because it has that launch pad you mentioned, 3K, 9.2% right before the finish. It's not like stage 9 where there's a big highway. It drops straight down to the finish line. That's much better because I don't think there's any way Mike Woods would have dropped Wout van Aert today. Like, he wouldn't have won that stage even if he was in the breakaway. But tomorrow he does have a chance. I like the pick a lot, especially the price. You'd have to imagine, like, Israel Premier Tech, hopefully they did some sort of debrief today and they're learning every day, and they do have a young team, kind of inexperienced, so maybe they'll get that alchemy right and then successfully get Woods into the breakaway. I think they got to stop. Like, it can't just be Woods. He needs to have like a bigger guy with him that is helping him get into these moves. Like, it's just like someone's on Woods duty all the time, especially if it's not a super steep climb.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I'm not making the same mistake twice. I mean, this is probably, if you go to like a gambling handbook, you shouldn't do this. But I'm going Wout van Aert, even at plus 550. Not nearly as good a price as he was yesterday. But if you watch today's stage, I mean, he didn't look troubled. It was a hard stage too. Like, it was, people were toast after the first 50K, and he looked pretty fresh at the finish. Like, it almost looked like his family was there, and it looks like he just got back from a group ride. It's like, honey, how'd you do? He's like, oh, I did okay. Like, he looked.
Yeah, it's funny to see his. I was picking up a little bit here and there in Flemish when he was talking to his son, and his son asked why he did why he did the 3 fingers, and so he was explaining because he won 3 stages. It was funny. It was nice to see. Okay, Wout van Aert, listen, I mean, I can't say anything against that. It's other than, 2 days in a row may seem a bit greedy or exaggerated, but hey, he hasn't won a lot this year, and he's trying to make up for it. I've seen somewhere, I don't know if he wins tomorrow, or if he wins the next stage or 2 more stages, that would bring him to 50 wins in his professional career, which seems not a lot for Wout van Aert, for a rider like Wout van Aert. So, I mean, he doesn't win often. But But he's on a winning streak here, so I can perfectly see him winning the stage tomorrow from a breakaway. My second choice is also going to be a breakaway rider. Very, very aggressive rider, also can climb. You need to be able to climb, especially with that last 3-kilometer climb there. Harold Tejada, a Colombian rider from Astana, plus 1,800 on Unibet. He's been trying already a few times, and he seems to be a guy who can choose his moments. So just to take another breakaway rider, Harold Tejada, at plus 1,800 doesn't seem like an interesting option to win the stage.
Yeah, I mean, he's 15 minutes down on GC, which you normally say, oh, he's out of it. He's only 10 minutes behind fourth place, basically. But they won't get more than 10 minutes. I don't think that will be an issue. And you're kind of playing into this too. I think the strategy should be, so Van Aert, if you pick Van Aert, then you should pick people who can outclimb Wout van Aert on a 3% or 3K 9% climb, because I think Van Aert's going to be in the move because there's sprint points. He probably wants to pad his lead. As you say, he's not won as much as in his career as he should have. You got to make hay while the sun is shining. So like while the winds are coming, go get them. And he's training for Worlds. He's not going to sit. I don't think Wout van Aert's going to sit in that peloton tomorrow. Like, and if you're as good as Wout van Aert is, you're just like, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit around all day? I don't think so. I'm here at the Vuelta to train.
Yeah,
I got to get better.
He already trained during the tour for the Olympics. So this is like a new thing. We just do Grand Tours as training camps.
Yeah, it's that's what Van der Poel's done to actually quite a bit of success.
Yeah,
with his big targets like World Championships. But I think you got to pick people who can outclimb Wout van Aert on a 3K 9% climb. So Tejada would check that box.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with someone I think is better than Harold Tejada, and it's Brandon McNulty, plus 1,600 on Unibet. I think he's plus 1,800, 1,500 in the US. Not as good. You're getting that hometown money. So 1,600 plus 1,600 on Unibet. He was away a little bit today, so we know he's probably not injured or completely fallen apart.
And we know he's trying to go in breaks.
Yeah, he's completely out of the GC. And as I said yesterday, UAE will have a rider in the breakaway every day between now and the finish, because they just have one guy sitting. They have Simon Yates sitting 5.5 minutes behind the lead. Like they want as much chaos as possible. They're just going to keep sending people into the breakaway. They have to try to get stage wins. They're the biggest team in the sport at the moment. They can't leave a Grand Tour without trying to get as many stage wins as possible. So I'm going to go McNulty. And he has won on stage on courses like this. You'd think it's a little funny because he can't sprint, but he can get clear on that final climb. He's a good descender. He can get down that descent and hold everybody off. I think he has a decent chance, and he doesn't have to wait until the thing about McNulty, he doesn't have to wait until the final climb to attack, because he's so strong. He can attack before it and hold people off on that climb as well.
Yeah. I think that's a good option.
All right. Well, we have a few head-to-heads, and then we will get out of here. That's what saved us today. I'm glad we had the head-to-heads, or else we had truly dismal stage picks.
Listen, Spencer, these stages are difficult to really have it right. There's so many variables, and first of all, you need to be, we don't know if it's a breakaway or not, or no breakaway, if the breakaway is going to go early or late, and then who can be in it, right? Typically, it gets a bit easier, but we haven't seen many. From now on, I think we're going to see the same guys all the time. But we're not at that stage yet.
Yeah, to give a meta-analysis, this might be too early. Maybe things turn around for us, but it's actually been a tough Grand Tour to bet, because it's either incredibly small, tight odds with like Caden Groves or Wout van Aert. There's not many other people that can win on sprint stages. And then on the stages that aren't good for Roglic or Van Aert or Groves, it's just like a casino. Like if you get it right, it's great, but if you don't, it's actually very hard to pick. Like you wouldn't have picked Adam Yates on stage 9 to win.
No.
And that makes those stages really tough. Speaking of Adam Yates, first head-to-head on FanDuel, minus 116 versus David Gaudu, minus 116. And this will probably be like today, GC group behind, but presumably they will race like full out on that final climb, and there will be splits.
Yeah. And today, let's see. Today, where were they? Gaudu was 30th. And Yates, where was Yates?
He was 50th.
Okay, let's go for Gaudu. Yates, Yates is, I mean, once Yates, when he's in the group he has to be, and he won't bother. He's usually at the back.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Gaudu.
Yeah,
Gaudu comes in first for between those two.
And then I assume this next one is from the breakaway. Eddie Dunbar -116, Jack Haig -116.
Jack Haig, we haven't talked about him at all yet.
I know.
Yeah. Huh.
I mean, Eddie, both these guys, like, they were GC darlings like 2 years ago, and then
yeah. Dunbar made it in the group, and Haig
made it in the group. They're both actually not that far down in the GC. They're 12 minutes and 15 minutes down.
Where was Haig?
Haig finished.
Oh, he's 17th. Okay. Yeah. And what are the odds?
They're both -116.
Oh, phew. Haig.
Do you think Eddie Dunbar gets in the breakaway?
I'm just thinking that both of them are in the main group, and they just, Haig comes ahead of Dunbar.
I mean, it's frankly not a great breakaway for them either. If you haven't made one yet, tomorrow seems like a tough place to make your start. So we'll just go with Jack Haig -116.
Yeah.
Ben O'Connor -235, Carlos Rodriguez +172.
Huh.
Carlos Rodriguez is a good descender, but is that a good climb for him?
Yeah, no, fine. It doesn't matter. Everything's going to come back in the GC group. O'Connor gets ahead of Carlos Rodriguez at the finish line.
Okay. Primož Roglič -235, Richard Carapaz +172.
Mm-hmm.
Both were. Roglič finished 10 spots in front of him in the GC group.
Who's negative?
Roglič is like the huge favorite. I mean, probably mathematically, you should just bet Carapaz because the odds are so much better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Carapaz +172. I mean, good bike handler too. Like less chance that he has a problem coming into the finish.
Yeah.
Enric Mas -192, Mikel Landa +142.
Huh. The Spanish guys, huh? Let's see. Oof, they finished just behind each other today. I think Enric Mas.
Okay, so it's Carlos. This is the finishing order today. Carlos Rodriguez, Oscar Rodriguez, Enric Mas, Mikel Landa, Nairo Quintana, Carapaz. They're clearly some sort of marking going on there.
Yeah.
So you're going Landa or Mas?
Mas.
Okay, Mas -192. I still don't believe the Mas hype, but I mean, if you actually just look at it, if you look at the numbers, he's probably the strongest climber in this race.
What are the odds for Enric Mas winning the Vuelta, Spencer?
Oh man, I hate to even put this out there, this disinformation. Enric Mas +300.
Oh,
doesn't seem that good.
Well, I mean, it would have been great if we could have done it a few days ago, when he was +500 or +600. The +300 is not that. I actually, I have to be honest, and I'm. It's unbelievable that I say this, but I think Enric Mas can win this Vuelta. The way he's been riding, he's strong. He's very strong. He's never been stronger than this year in the Vuelta. And seeing what's still to come, I mean, okay, it is 4.5 minutes to O'Connor. It's a lot.
And he's not a better time trust. To me, that's the big thing. That's 4.5 real minutes.
Yeah, but exactly. Well, Ben O'Connor didn't do a good time trial at the start either, but I actually think it must beat O'Connor in the time trial. But he's not going to take much time out of him, if any, right? So, but still, something tells me that Mas is just going to have this incredible performance throughout the last 10 days and that he's going to win. He's going to win the Vuelta.
I mean, you're clearly not the only person who thinks that. My only pushback is, so O'Connor's this is on Unibet, plus 225, Mas plus 350.
Yeah.
To me, that's too close considering one of those people is 4.5 minutes behind the other one. And let's even go back to stage 9. Amazing performance by Mas, but is there a chance that Ben O'Connor was thinking, I'm not going to go. Why would I attack on a climb that I spend a lot of time on, and I know it's a highway descent down to the finish line, and it's impossible to stay away from a group?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't know that Ben O'Connor didn't make a calculated decision not to go with Enric Mas, and maybe he's climbing almost as well as Enric Mas.
I've seen a stat somewhere. I don't remember where it was. I've seen a stat somewhere that every time they did that climb, the side of Sierra Nevada, what was it called? Puerto de Ayasnos or Asalos or something like that. I don't remember. Every time I did that climb, and the guy who was fastest up there under 34 minutes has won the Vuelta. And Mas went under 34 minutes.
How many times has it been in the Vuelta?
It's been there. It's quite. I mean, I know for sure that Nibali won it, Froome won it, and Horner won it when they went up that climb. I even think that there was it Contador? I don't remember. Contador probably, and he won the Vuelta. But it was finished on top. But anyway, Mas did a really fast climb that day, and so I don't know. Maybe it's wishful thinking. You know, I had this. I was thinking about this today. You know, I was riding, and I remember many years ago. I would say probably, when did Enric Mas turn pro? When did he turn pro?
It feels like a lifetime ago. 2017. He was on Quick Step.
Only okay. Well, this was a lot earlier. I think 2013 or 14. I saw a documentary. Enric Mas was on the junior team of the Fundación Alberto Contador. He had a junior team, and they did the documentary, and I watched it. And Contador was riding with, he was still racing then. And he rode with those juniors, right? In Italy, they went to see a few climbs. Maybe it's a mistake, but I think it was the Gavia or the Mortirolo. But I think it was the Gavia. They did the Gavia, and Contador, started to ride a good pace, a strong pace, and there was one rider who stayed with Contador as a junior. And because after that documentary, I called an ex-colleague of mine who was running a team, and I said, hey, check out this guy, and if you can, sign him. It was Enric Mas.
Crazy.
And Enric Mas stayed with Contador, and let me tell you, he didn't pass him at the end because he was shy and he was afraid to pass him. But if he would have dared, he would have passed Contador. Contador was going full gas to drop everybody. So, okay, we're completely off topic now, but the guy has talent, man. He's good. He's good. And in this Vuelta, I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance for him. And he sounds really confident. And let me tell you, I've heard an interview of him with a guy I know, a famous radio reporter. And he said, if you would advise people bet on someone, who would you advise him? And he said, I would bet on Enric Mas himself. So he believes he can win.
Well, if Mas wins, we're going to pull this, and you're going to look like a genius. If he doesn't, we'll never mention it again.
We're not going to talk about it anymore.
But and he is amazing. He's climbing amazing. He looks incredible. Just that on my own ride, I was wondering, did that attack actually make any sense? Because they must have known. I mean, the people in front lost so much time to the chasers, and you'd think, well, that's kind of an odd place to attack, actually. Like, why?
Well, maybe he was thinking he was probably thinking to go away with Roglic and drop O'Connor.
True.
But
O'Connor's got teammates. I don't know. Like,
yeah, but it was steep, and that's a steep climb. That climb. That was a steep climb. So Anyways, well, let's see what happens.
We'll see how it goes, but. Somehow our longest episode on a pretty routine medium mountain stage tomorrow, but we will be back to predict stage 12. We'll see you later, Johan. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.